Why don't you start out by telling us your name and who you work for and what your company does, and then talk a little bit about who you're targeting on LinkedIn and what's your goal. I mean, why did you come to us? How are you using LinkedIn in your business?
Sure.
And what is your offer?
My name is Roger Hibbs. I am the National Director for the Federal Tax Reduction Division of O'Connor and Associates, headquartered here in Houston, Texas. I'm also charged with business development for a number of other of our divisions, including property tax, disaster relief, business personal property work, all sorts of things that has to do with selling. I typically keep my finger in on all of those different areas as well. But my primary focus is federal tax reduction through cost segregation. We were trying to reach out to clientele who either owned, operated, or were affiliated with those who owned and operated commercial for-profit real estate, because that's what we do. Cost segregation takes a physical asset, a commercial for-profit asset, and through utilizing IRS guidelines and regulations plus the results of court cases over the years, we take what is normally used in straight line depreciation for a commercial asset, and we're able to parse that straight line into several buckets of shorter life depreciation cycles so that we accelerate the depreciation and create additional depreciation on the front end of the ownership of the commercial asset, and therefore we reduce the federal income tax burden of the owners for that. And so we have our own research group that does a lot of background work on commercial assets when they are sold or when they are purchased. But beyond that, we wanted to reach out to CPAs, we wanted to reach out to brokers, we wanted to reach out to third-party fee managers, we wanted to reach out, again, just to anyone who's affiliated with the commercial real estate industry so that we could broaden our net, so to speak, and work a little smarter at getting our services out to the general public. When we utilize our own internal research, we are going specifically to a buyer or a seller, and in many instances, it's just a single asset that this entity has either bought or sold. Whereas if we can reach out to a CPA type or a broker or a third-party fee manager and successfully engage them in conversation, we've now gone from a single asset interaction to a vastly different multiple asset, multiple owner, potentially multiple owner situation, so that it really creates a geometric progression in our potential targets. It becomes a target-rich environment as opposed to a single shot possibility. So that's one of the reasons that we thought of LinkedIn. We felt like we were underutilizing LinkedIn. I believe when we started with you guys, Jeff, my LinkedIn connections were at about 200. And those were typically people who had just reached out to me accidentally, or people who had actually done business with us and found me on LinkedIn and said, okay, let's go ahead and get hooked up. We realized that we were not treating LinkedIn in a true business approach. We were treating it more like an online resume where someone could find out a little bit of information about me as a professional. But the affiliation with you guys has allowed us to actually go out and use LinkedIn much more as a billboard and an opportunity to market to a much broader group. And I have seen over the months of our affiliation, my LinkedIn connections go from 200 or so when we started to about 1,500 now. And that 1,300 increase has been almost all within the realm of the specific type of folks we were trying to get in contact with. Owners of multiple properties, CPAs that deal with owners of multiple properties, brokers, fee managers, other people that are interested in the real estate commercial market who might be able to utilize our services. And so it's been a phenomenally successful outreach. We are still working on the best way to take it from, okay, we're now connected, to, okay, now you're a client of ours and we are making money and we're providing services, and it's a two-way street there. We're still not 100% streamlined on that particular process, but we're very encouraged by the process, the prospects that we've been able to reach out to. And you can imagine going from 200 connections to over 1,500 connections in a very short period of time, a number of months, has been a phenomenal success, in my opinion. And I have lots and lots of discussions going on with these new connections, and they're not at all hesitant to reach out to me at need, and of course as prompted by the work that you guys are doing kind of behind the scenes for us.
Yeah, and just to give some perspective to get some kind of feedback. Let me see if I can solve that. Just give some perspective, people listening to this. Pat O'Connor and Associates actually has their own email marketing effort. Roger briefly mentioned that they've got their own research team that goes out and does research on transactions, and so they've got their own email marketing, and that, as we note to all of our clients, is a very important component, because not everybody's active all the time on LinkedIn. So that is another aspect, I'm sure, of the success related to their LinkedIn marketing efforts. The other thing is that because Roger's profile was optimized around his offer that he's eloquently explained, I'm certain that he's gotten people to reach out to connect with him because he's now more visible inside the LinkedIn search meeting, the search engine inside of LinkedIn, within the network, which continues to expand for Roger as he's moved from 200 to close to 1,500 connections. Roger, if you would, how do you work? So what we've got up on the screen is actually the tracking system for Roger that we generate internally, because we need to take the new connections and the conversations from inside LinkedIn and move them outside of LinkedIn, so it's easier for Roger to work with and to get all the statistics that you see up on the screen associated with our activity. And how do you work with this? Do you work with it every day? How much time do you spend? How do you interface with this? And talk a little bit about what you do to engage the leads that are both either hot, warm, or just in discussion.
Sure. Before I mention that, let me just touch on one thing that you said, which I think has been a very, very valuable piece of what you guys provided for us. When you talked about modifying my profile, I touched on it briefly in that my profile was set up originally with LinkedIn just as an online resume. And some of the service that you guys provided as part of your package was to put me with an expert who helped me completely revamp my presence on LinkedIn, helped me optimize my presentation of my my homepage on LinkedIn. And I have indeed experienced what you had just mentioned, Jeff. I have lots of people who are now reaching out to me asking to become linked to me, and I know that is in large part based on the optimization that you guys helped me perform very early on in our relationship, so I do appreciate that. It is rare that I have a day go by that I don't get a LinkedIn request from someone. Certainly multiple times per week I'll get a LinkedIn request that's inbound for me as opposed to having reached out to them through your services. But in terms of how I work with the done-for-you leads, I do try to work them every day. I make it part of my startup sequence on my laptop. When my O'Connor home pages pop up, a tab pops up that shows my Done For You leads generation pages, and I look for the specifics of anyone who is labeled as a in discussion, a warm lead, a hot lead, etc. And I do, of course, prioritize those. The hot leads get my immediate attention, but honestly, all the leads get my attention very early on, because it's an opportunity to just get back into communication with someone who has only heard from you via a LinkedIn message, and you have the opportunity to then go in and send them something that's even more customized, either to their response, or by doing just a very minimal amount of research, you can go back to them and mention something that is one of their hot button topic items, or one of the things that they've highlighted that they are interested in or working with on a daily basis. So I work the hot and the warm leads immediately on a daily basis. The in-discussion leads, I try to take care of them on a daily basis. I will never let more than a couple of days go by without getting back in touch with those folks. And in some instances, the only response we're getting is just the use of the canned phrases, if you will, on LinkedIn, the thumbs up, the automatic thank you, the thanks, whatever. I treat every one of those as a warm lead as well. It's just a quick click acknowledgement on their part, but it gives me the opportunity to say, hey, thanks for getting back with me, and I noticed that you are interested in X, Y, Z. I too do that, or I have someone that's close to me that does that. Let's visit when you have a chance about that. That would be interesting and fun. And don't forget, I offer these services, and let me know if I can help you or anyone that you come in contact with. So the key for me is to try to touch it every day, to prioritize based on the system that you guys have, to make sure that the best or hottest leads get contacted first, and then work your way down the list, but don't minimize any contact. Any contact you have really ought to be treated as a warm lead, because it can be the key to generate significant business, and you don't want to leave it untouched.
Yeah, truthfully, because as we may have, you've been on here since last August, what we're doing is creating this opportunity, a networking opportunity every day, every month, for several hundred of your targeted prospects to connect with you. And so they've opted in, they've accepted your connection, or they've invited you. As you mentioned, LinkedIn fairly recently, in the last few months, started to send out daily, well, I'd say weekly, emails to each account holder saying, here's how many people have viewed your profile this week.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've got an invitation. So because of your now optimization and growing network, you're going to continue to get more views that are just coming in over the transom that are actually looking at your profile. And of course, if they're then interested in what you have to offer, and asking to, inviting you to connect with them, or just directly reaching out to talk about your services. The value of this is tremendous. And, you should count every one of these people as someone who's a targeted prospect. They may reach out to you immediately. They may come back to you on their own later. I've had people reach out to me a year after I connected with them. Mm-hmm. And they didn't respond at all the first time around, but I showed up in a search that they conducted inside of LinkedIn when they were looking for our services. And that's another value of building your network, because it does make you visible. When you go to search inside your LinkedIn account, and you search for any type of service, people that provide something, you don't get results from the entire network. You only are getting results inside of the subset of the LinkedIn universe. And so the key for long-term success for a business through LinkedIn, being the predominant B2B networking platform, is to grow your network to the maximum that LinkedIn allows. And they actually allow you to have followers, to generate followers beyond even your 30,000 maximum connections that they now allow. But over time, the goal is to continue to grow that network, grow the list, the marketing list that's being generated, and to use the platform to continue to try to network with your targeted market over time. And, it will bring benefits for years to come.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I probably also should mention is that even when you have someone who is willing to link with you as a partner, who may not be the exact perfect blueprint following of the person that you really want to be the primary contact, don't underestimate the referral possibilities that LinkedIn provides. I've actually gotten one of the best leads off of LinkedIn from a guy who was only marginally fitted well to my particular target audience, but who interacted with a number of people who were just what I was looking for and has already referred them to my LinkedIn profile. And I've had 3 or 4 inquiries from the people that this one source that was not the most perfect fit has provided via these referrals. So don't hesitate to treat everyone as though they're important to you, because they certainly might be.
Yes, excellent point. These are people. If you tried to invite them to a meeting, either in Las Vegas or in Houston, where you're located, you're going to be challenged to get them all together. And first of all, to even be able to identify them, then get them to a physical meeting. So this super networking platform allows you to scale, and it's a numbers game, as sales always and marketing always is, allows you to scale your networking and social selling far beyond the physical limitations that all of us have. And whether it's a direct prospect that fits your ideal prospect parameters, or it's somebody, because once you connect with them and you treat them as a human being and you interact with them through the platform or through email, you now get access not only to the network that they have on LinkedIn, which means that you can find leads inside their network and people inside their network can find you through the LinkedIn search engine. You get access to their external network. And how do you get access to an external network and get access to referrals? You engage with them and start to build a relationship, and they can open up to you the way that Roger's just described. So I'm happy to hear that everything's going well and for you on many different levels. And is there anything else you wanted to say in closing? Otherwise, we'll let you move on with your day.
No, I think we've covered certainly the high points of all this. I've certainly been very pleased with the service. The initial optimization of the site was fantastic. The ongoing results that we're getting, the daily connections that I'm being able to make, and the marketing that allows me to do has been certainly gratifying, and I look forward to continuing our relationship, making it a long and mutually beneficial relationship moving forward.
Thank you very much, Roger. You have a good day,
You're
And
very welcome.
look forward to continue to working with you.
Absolutely. Take care, Jeff.
All right, thanks.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.